today we're going to go through some of the components for the bike build today. And these are the parts that we have collected throughout the last several months.
Whoa.
We have the Hope quick release. This is the quick release that will hold the seat post. This is the Deity Copperhead stem. Blue, Kale wanted blue, so we got blue to match the bike build, and it's 50 millimeters, so this is a little bit longer, so we'll see how this works. Shimano brake hose cut tool.
What does that do?
This sets up our brakes. 12-speed chain, very important, GX Eagle chain. Cane Creek headset. This is the Shimano basic disc brake bleed kit. These are the P&W Loam grips. Disc brakes. Oh, did we look at these? These are the rotors. Okay, so we have disc rotors. And in here, we have the 12-speed Eagle cassette, GX Eagle cassette, 10 through 52. Okay, so we have a really interesting scenario here. We have the original bottom bracket that I ordered, which was the race face. Well, Amazon lost this in the mail, so we ended up canceling it. We ordered another one. At the same time, the guys at Fanatic Bike told me about this one, and we decided to go with the Hope.
Well, how does it work?
One goes on one side, one goes on the other side, and your crank spindle is going to go through the middle.
Oh.
Moving on, we have the Race Face Cinch chain ring. And note, this is a 28 tooth. We went with a 28 tooth for Kale. Moving on, we have the SRAM GX shifter. That shifter is a 12 speed. Moving on, next, we have the GX, SRAM GX derailleur. And this is the 12 speed derailleur that works with the 52 tooth.
What's the white thing?
This is a special tool to align and index your sprockets. Here is the Race Face Atlas crankset. These are made in Squamish. This is called the Cinch system, Atlas. These are 165 millimeters. We're looking at the DVO fork for this build. It is a DVO Onyx single crown. So we're going to open this up. Here it is. We've got a fender. Here's the fender. There's the fender that screws on. And we're going to open this up. Take that box out. Here's the fork. Okay. As you can see, this is their DVO's Onyx single crown, because they make this in a dual crown. We have the front wheel, and this is a Stans Flow Mark III. We have another 26-inch Stans Flow Mark III. This is the rear. This has the 150 spacing for the TR500. 3, 2, 1.
It has an inner routing for the shifter and the brake.
Okay, so here is a shift housing, and we are going to test putting that in onto the right side of the bike. I'm going to try to put this in. So we did a little more work on the shift housing. We figured out how to flip the axle position. We have the axle now in the short position. So we figured that out. That fell out on the ground, and now I have a carpet down here. And you can see it right there. See how there's the axle is toward the front now. that makes it short. All right, so this, we took this bolt out, we took this bolt out for the main pivots so that we can move this down. And this is the dog bone connector here, link. We can bring this up like this and now get our shift cable. So now we're gonna hold this up and then I can just reach in here and now grab the cable. So now the shift cable is through, yay! All right, we're putting a little grease into our grease cup. This is our little cup. We're gonna put grease in. Can you see this?
Oh, it's green.
Isn't that cool? Okay, so here we are. We're looking at here's the Onyx. This is the more enduro style version of the DVO downhill fork. And it has 180 mil of travel. And we're gonna be installing the crown race. The crown race consists of this piece right here. And you can see the correct orientation. And this part that curves up is the part that the bearing sits onto. And the bearing has a beveled edge at the top, and the beveled edge at the top sits into the lower headset cup. This is a Cane Creek 40. This will be in the bottom, and so this fits in like this. We are using the Ice Tools Crown Race installation tool. So this is it, it's 2 pieces. This is gonna go down on your steer tube first, and then you're gonna use this to smack it on, yeah. First we're going to put the grease on the steer tube for the crown race.
Oh, I did grease.
So first we're just gonna take some grease like this, and then we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it on right here. Except I'm gonna hold it right here first. Let's put it all the way around. Let's set this up like this maybe. It's not a little bit, but it's not a lot. Now we put this one on. Okay, and then we're gonna take our slide hammer. And then we Today we're going to be using the Park Tool anti-seize compound for the headset.
I can't or anything with it. You just put
What?
that thing in. How do you put that in without one of these things?
Use a block of wood and sledgehammers.
Bang.
So we're going to grab the bottom cup, which we have here. We are not using these pieces. We're going to line up the Cane Creek with the front of the bike. Bam.
Ba, ba,
See that?
ba.
Here is our bottom bearing. That's a bearing. We're going to put that on it. And then now we're going to put that in the bike. So go down there, and then this is the top cap assembly. And this is going to be our stem. And then here's going to be our top. How's that look?
Good.
That's going to be your deal. Now we're going to mark this. So one thing you have to do to make sure everything's pushed up really tight. We have the tool. This is the hacksaw guide. This is going to be low. If I cut down here, this is below. See, there's the cut there. There's a line there. I'm going to go right in front of it. And this is the blade. This thing is going to hold it there. Here's the tools that we used for deburring the steer tube. This is for the inner, and so how that works is on your tube, you would take this and say you just cut this part. We actually cut that part, but I'm just going to show you on. Well, I guess I can show you here. We're going to just take this, and you're just going to apply a little bit of pressure, and you're just going to go around in a circle like this. This is what holds your. What does it do? What does it do? The thing that holds your headset. The star nut.
The star nut hold. I don't actually.
It tightens your stem down to the fork, right?
Yeah.
We're back. We've got the star nut installation tool by Park Tool. This is the threadless headset star nut setter, and basically you just hammer it into this thing. You screw your star nut into the bottom of this. There's threads in here, and then you hammer it into here. I've used the other kind, the bike hand one, but I didn't have as much luck with that one. And only certain star nuts would fit. For some reason, the Cane Creek star nut did not fit with the bike hand one. And I had to use the special star nuts that came with the bike hand. So this is the actual Cane Creek star nut. And we're going to be setting that into our fork. I think we're all the way on there. And that's what it looks like when it's all in. It's got this, the height is set correctly, and the tines are in there, and everything's all even and smooth. So I just like to, I'll show you this real quick. I just like to squirt some in there. And you want to go ahead and put a bunch in there. And this is what's going to keep everything running smooth and keep it from creaking or making any strange noises. When you're out on the trail, you don't want your bike making a lot of racket. Again, it's not a lot, but it's definitely not a little. Sam Pilgrim and Blake Samson from GNBN. Wait, is it GNBN?
GNBN.
GMBN. They have a really funny video on how not to maintain your bike. And Sam shows Blake how much grease to put on. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but that's probably my favorite. We'll watch that one. Maybe I wonder, can we put a clip to that?
So, you got any grease? It's a bit rusty in here though.
Yeah, do you want me to put some on for you?
Yeah, just a little bit in there. It's a bit greasy.
All right.
Just a little bit. Just a little. Just a little. Oh wow. Just a little bit, I said.
So we'll put a link in the description to the really good Sam and Blake, how not to maintain your bike. Also, if you like our video, make sure that you like it and hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna grab the fork. Out of here, we got our fork sitting over here. Here's our fork. We got the crown raised. Let's make sure that's blown off and that's ready to go on. So our fork is ready. We have the star nut is in. So we're ready to do this. So we're going to go over to this section. We've greased the bottom, but we need our bottom bearing. The beveled edge goes up to the top. Okay. We're going to put our top bearing in, and you can see that also has a bevel, and the beveled edge is going to go down to sit into the headset cup. So we're just going to stick this in into our nice grease there. Cool, magicked. Magicked.
Magic, bruh.
I'm gonna have to get me another one actually. Good. We don't want to have any grease on this when we put the rest of the stuff on here. We put the spacers on. We have a 10 mil on the bottom. We put the headset cap on.
And the head.
And then we put the 10 mil spacer in the bottom, the stem, and then the top's 10 mil. So now we're gonna go ahead and we put a little bit of grease on there, and then you can see the distance here. Did you show inside there? That's what it looks like. There's a little bit of space there. Okay. And we did the handlebars, and if you know, we cut the handlebars down to 735 millimeters, which is up from his 720 millimeters he had on the ripcord. So it seems small to me because I run an 800 bar normally, so this seems tiny to me, but I think to Cale it should be awesome. You can't, however, put that back, so we put the wheel on. I did try something. I tried to seat the tubeless tire without any tire sealant in it. It doesn't work that way. So we can actually do bar spins on this bike now.
Or when you put the brakes on, you won't.
So when we put the brakes on, we will not be able to do bar spins anymore. We had to get a converter because this has ISG mounts, and these do not work with the standard Shimano brake, which has the post mount style. So we're going to convert the 73 millimeter to the 51. The backs, it looks like it's just going to go on just like this. These have a little Loctite on them. So we're going to go ahead and put them on like this. Get this out. This has got a lot of grease on it. This is a shock linkage point.
Greasy boy.
Okay, so when I drop this down, see those screws?
Yeah.
Those washers? They're set in the right position, so I'm going to tape those. That's the dog bone. This piece here is the dog bone.
Oh, that dog's out.
And those pieces there are the way that we're setting up your bike. Your bike settings are short chain stays, right here, short. Steep geometry here, and the long shock position, 200 millimeter shock position.
Long.
We installed the new Dior XT 4-piston caliper, and it has the brake line already attached to it, so you have to run it this way up to the bar. And how we did that is we used an old shifter cable. We put the shifter cable down through this first, and it came out through here. Then we attached dental floss on the end of the shifter cable, and we pulled the dental floss back through up through here. That way, when we had this end here, we could attach dental floss in through these little holes, because this was down here. And so then we pulled the dental floss through this, which then pulled this all the way up through here. And the trick was pulling this puller grommet through that tiny hole. And so you have to use a little bit of hand strength to pull that through that tiny hole. And then it comes through like this. And so this is ready to route our rear brake. So then we'll just have to attach the zip tie down here. We just got our race face chainring, cinch chainring installed on the cranks. And we finger tightened this tightening lock washer. So we need to go ahead and torque this down to 40 Newton meters. So we're going to set that right here. And then we're going to torque this to 40. So now what we have to do is attach our BBT 22 onto this. This is an 83 millimeter shell, and this is going to be a 30 millimeter interface. So here we are. We have the Hope bottom brackets. These are going to say non-drive side. So we're going to grease these. We're going to go back to our grease collection. And this time we're going to use the crystal grease. We installed this one. So this one's in the non-drive side. And we were using the crystal grease, which is clear. And we're using, this is the one, this one is going to be, the Hope instructions say anti-clockwise. We have two spacers on this side. Tighten that all the way up. thing about it is when you're installing cranks, you don't want to install it like this. Because you have a pedal here and a pedal up here, and it would be the most jankiest bike. You could though. I could install it like this, and then you have a pedal here and a pedal way up here, and then we can make Cale ride it. You want to do this 180 degrees, so we'll push this one down. Zoom recording 35. Cassette install in 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back to the bike build. We're building up Cale's TR500 downhill machine. We changed the stock spring, which was exactly the same spring as this, except it was 350 pounds. But since Cale is going to be around the 92, 94 pounds with his gear on, we found the lowest spring we could find, which is a 250. Okay, so now the wheel's out, axle's out.
Ooh.
Look at that. Now we're just gonna put this on here. This already had pre-installed with some anti-seize on there as well. So we're just gonna put this on here, and we're just going to. Okay, so now this is supposed to thread on. £40. There we go.
Yay.
Cassette's installed, yay.
Woo.
Ready for action, ready for the trails. This is the derailleur hanger. And this is the GX, SRAM GX derailleur. But note, this one has the 520% to accommodate the 52. As we just put this on here, that's got the 52 tooth. This one's is a little bit wider to allow for this. Left off on the video, we were putting the chain on. The chain is now on, and we have the gears correctly indexed. The derailleur has a high and a low screw. The outboard screw is the big ring, and the inboard screw is the small ring, cog. What do you want to call that? Let's call that a cog, sprocket, ring, chain ring. We have a 28 tooth. Can you see the 28? This is for Cale, because Cale's going to be riding this bike, so we set this up as a 28. And my Yeti has a 30, and some people run 34s and even bigger to get even faster. The bigger this ring is, the faster theoretically you could go in your small gear. This is a 10 tooth, and the big ring here is a 52 tooth. So in order to put the chain on, the chain was very difficult on this bike because you have to compress the suspension, and you can't just let the air out. You have to take this spring all the way off. And to take this spring all the way off requires you to take this whole entire shock linkage and dog bone out. So you have to take the dog bone, the shock linkage, the front. Once you get all these three out, this whole assembly comes out, then you can take the shock out. then you have to put it back on without the shock on, without the spring on, put the shock back in here, and then pull the rear triangle all the way to full suspension. And then we used this Velcro strap through here to the wheel, and then to hold this in full suspension. And then we put the chain on to size the chain. And I'm going to recommend the method for doing this chain on this bike. Wrap it around the front chain ring and the biggest back ring. Pull the suspension all the way and tie it with the tie. And then wrap it around the big ones. Mark where it overlaps. It doesn't go through the derailleur. It goes just around the big ring and around the front ring. And then you overlap the chain and I added one link. Adding the power lock. This chain has a power lock because it's a 12 speed. So let me find it. It doesn't really jump out. There it is.
Wait, there it is.
Right there. There's the power lock right there. This has an arrow. The arrow of that power lock goes in the direction of the chain. So if it's pointing this way, if you look when it's down here, the power lock is now the arrow is now pointing that way. Can you see it?
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be a really good fit.
That works.